Hi, I'm Roberto Contreras, Managing Director of Houston EB-5. I want to give a quick video update of the new reauthorization policy for EB-5 that just came out. It's something that the entire industry is extremely excited about. Existing investors are excited about it, and I know that a lot of potential investors are excited about it. So let's jump right into it. First off, it's a 5-year reauthorization through September 30th of 2027. Which is a huge relief. In the last 8 years, we've been having to put up with yearly extensions, which led to a degree of uncertainty for the future. Now we have stability for the future. It's a 5-year reauthorization. Anybody that applies by September 30th of 2026 will be grandfathered, regardless of if the program gets extended on 2027, which is another big relief. There was a lot of uncertainty when the program expired last time around on June 30th of 2021, as many of the existing investors' process was put on pause. Now that process has been reactivated for existing investors, which is great because they can now expect their green card soon. And for future investors, they don't have to worry about running into the same issue. So it was very, very important there. Also for existing investors, something that's really exciting is that now you can do simultaneous filing of adjustment of your status. So if you're here on a lawful U.S. visa in the United States, whether that be an F1, a B1, B2, an E visa, you can now go ahead and let the U.S. government know that you've already filed for your I-526, and with that will come sort of a temporary status for you under the EB-5 program, whereby you can file for a temporary work permit and a travel permit for you and your family. So it's very, very exciting for existing investors that have really been going through the process for quite some time now with COVID, and then with the expiry of the program. So now with this reauthorization, it's a huge opportunity now to go ahead and get your life started in the United States more formally. Which brings us to the next point for potential investors. That route is now open for you as well, to be able to, if you have a lawful U.S. visa, file for your EB-5 and wait here in the United States. So certainly talk to your immigration attorney about that. Give us a call. We're happy to connect you with one so you can understand that a little bit more. Another kind of exciting development here is the investment amounts now. Luckily, they didn't go up as much as they did in the past. They did go up though, and the new minimum now is from $500,000, has gone from $500,000 to $800,000 for a qualifying target employment area, which I'll touch on in a second. If you don't qualify for a target employment area, the new investment amount minimum is $1,050,000 as opposed to $1 million. So there's a smaller discrepancy now between the qualifying target employment areas of $800,000 and the non-qualifying areas, which is $1,050,000. For target employment areas is what we'd call, it needs to be in an urban distressed area, which is an area that has 1.5 times the national unemployment rate. Now, the USCIS has, the Congress with this law has become much more strict as to what qualifies as a target employment area. Previously, it used to be 13 contiguous census tracts, which are blocks of population, about 2,000 to 4,000 people. Before you could amalgamate 13 tracts and see what the average was there. Now it's that very census tract or ones adjacent to it. So they're definitely becoming more strict on what qualifies for that target employment area. Aside from urban distress, you can also be in a rural area, which is an area that has a permanent population of less than 20,000 people, to also qualify for that $800,000 threshold. For rural projects in specific, there's now priority processing, which means that it would take anywhere for about 3 to 6 months to get that initial green card approval as opposed to potentially 2 or more years. This is what the standard process requires. Now with concurrent filing, though, we'll see how important exactly it is to get that priority processing. Certainly for Chinese nationals, that'll be very important, because one of the concurrent filing requirements is that your country be current on the visa. Therefore, there's no visa backlog or no waiting list from your given country. Right now, the only country that's backlogged is China, but with these great new reforms, we might see more in the future. Therefore, at that point, the rural priority processing will be much more attractive. Some other key changes, which we're extremely excited about, I think the entire country should be excited about, are now the standards of regulation on the program. Previously, it was a bit of the Wild West. An investor would make the investment. Once the investment got into the business or arrived into the business, there was really no visibility from there as to how the funds were being used, and to make sure that they were being used on job creating activities, et cetera, et cetera. It was really just kind of an honor system. You had some regional centers sort of acting more as fund administrators to try to make sure that those funds were used in the right places, but it was still spotty as to which projects were really doing things the right way and which ones weren't. Now, the U.S. government is protecting the investors a lot more. Remember, this bill was called the EB-5 Reform and Integrity Act originally. And so now with that, every project has to now file their business plan before starting to take investors into the project. They have to show it to the USCIS. A third-party fund administrator now has to be involved, not just a regional center. A third-party fund administrator being a certified public accountant or an attorney that certifies that every time money is moved from the escrow account where investors originally deposit their funds into the project, that project account now has to be a separate project account only for EB-5 money. And as the money moves from that separate account into the project to create jobs, you have to have a third-party fund administrator signing off on that the funds are indeed entering the project to create jobs. And then from there has to be a yearly report done showing how much money, how many investors you got, and how much of that investment money went into the project. So certainly the administrative costs of running a regional center or doing an EB-5 project are increasing, but it is very positive news for investors overall. There's also some transparency measures there in terms of commissions that are paid. Really, the entire industry is really becoming much more standardized, and I think investors are going to be able to invest now, a little more. They can be a little more rest assured that the government is actually taking good care of them with this policy. So it's very, very exciting developments. Aside from just what I've talked about right now, there's countless other things that I think are relevant, in terms of just processing times. The USCIS is increasing pay for the case processors, so hopefully that'll help some. Within 1 year, the USCIS, with all the additional fees that they're going to be collecting from regional centers, they're going to do a study on processing times. We know that Adjudication, the acting director of the USCIS, has already mentioned previously that it's a priority to work on those processing times. So, all around very, very positive. All around very positive, I think, for investors and for regional centers and EB-5 providers like ourselves. That have been doing things the right way for a while, and yet somehow the policy or the program has not really been running as it should, as efficiently as it should. Now is a chance here where, with everybody putting in a little extra input in terms of some of the oversight in the program, in terms of some of the fees to be associated in the program, all of that increasing, hopefully we're going to see a lot more of an efficient program that we can all be proud of. So that's really it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Our website, www.houstoneb5.com, or reach out to your immigration attorney. I'm sure they'll be excited to tell you about it as well. Thank you.